I stand before you now on this August night to report that democracy has prevailed. Democracy has delivered. And now democracy must be preserved.
So Joe Biden has been thrown out like an old carcass. It's like when you were little, you had a fish that died in the bowl. You just took the fish, flushed it down the toilet. Like old used up garbage. The Democrat Party has cooled, allegedly, their leader of the free world, the alleged most powerful man in the world. He has been cooled by Nancy Pelosi, by Barack Obama, by Kamala Harris. Lost his right to run for re-election because the powers that be, the big money donors, told him, you need to get your old ass out of here, because they were no longer able to gaslight. They gaslighted us for 3 years. Oh, he's perfectly fine. He's giving a master class in how to run the presidential office. Oh, he's such a great leader. They gaslighted us, but they gaslighted us up until the point that it was no longer possible. In a moment where it was exposed, the floodgates opened. So he's been discarded. Joe Biden spoke on the first day. This is not traditional for the leader of the party during the national convention to speak on the very first day. But they had this man speak on the first day, late in the evening. They had a bunch of no-name people. You don't even know who the hell these left-wing Democrats are. Speak before Joe Biden. They waited until 11:30 Eastern time. 11:30. For Joe Biden to come out there. I don't even know how the hell they got him up there late. He must have been asleep all week or something. They pumped him up with something. But 11:30 at night, he gave an hour-long speech. It's after 12, well after 12, midnight. Joe Biden sitting here talking about nothing. And I'm not going to go into the details of his speech because it was the same old stuff. Talking about, oh, we did such a great job with the economy, with Bidenomics. We did such a great job with C-19. It's just a bunch of lies. But he went on an unhinged anti-Trump rant, and that's what we're going to get into in a second. But the Democrats are done with this man. They're separating from him. His own VP is trying to run from his record. So when you mention Bidenomics, when you mention the fact that they passed that plan, that tax tips and other things, the Kamala Harris camp is trying to say, oh, well, she had nothing to do with that. Anything that happened, whether it was the Afghanistan withdrawal, whether it was the economic plan, the infrastructure bill, the border, anything horrific that happened under Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, the VP, had nothing to do with it. She's completely separate. Oh, the VP doesn't have any power. She had no say in anything at all. She was just there collecting a check. So she's trying to run from Joe Biden's record. The senators who are running for re-election, they don't want Joe Biden to show up. They don't even want to mention Biden. They're done with him. They don't want to mention him because his record is a record of failure, and if they attach themselves to him, it's going to make them look bad, and it's going to be really hard for them to win their own election. And Kamala Harris's people know that too, so they're trying to separate, trying to gaslight and separate Kamala Harris from Joe Biden's record. The Democrats, they ran this coup, man. They threw Joe Biden under the bus. Let's look at this introduction real quick. So when Joe Biden walked on stage, they were like, oh, we love Joe. Joe, you're such a great man. Oh, you're the best. Nothing but lip service. Nothing but gaslighting. Let's take a look. They don't give a damn about this man. They're just trying to pretend like there's unity in the party when behind the scenes there's a lot of ugliness going on. Joe Biden is still upset with the fact that he was cool. Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, and them, they're satisfied with it, but they just don't want to talk about it. So let's look at the CNN clip here of them talking to Nancy Pelosi yet again. She keeps getting involved in these conversations about what happened, how was Joe Biden cool, and she keeps inching closer and closer to just saying, okay, I did it, I was the mastermind. But she's giving all these hints and everything. Let's take a look.
It was 4 weeks and 1 day ago that he stepped aside. And I know that it was very difficult for him. That's been made very clear by some of his top aides like Anita Dunn and Ron Klain. And there does seem to be, even though Anita Dunn said earlier today, quote, nobody wants to have a fight with Nancy Pelosi at this time, unquote, it does seem like there's some residual bad blood or resentment, and I'm wondering if you've spoken to him and what your response is to that.
Sometimes you just have to take a punch for the children.
And that's what you're doing right now? You're just going to take the punch for the children?
Who's punching right now?
I don't know.
Anita Dunn said...
I didn't even hear this. I'm just hearing.
It was an interview with me.
Maybe he's throwing the punch. I don't know.
No,
I'm not. I would never. But
she
Anita
said she doesn't want to fight.
Nobody wants to have a fight with Nancy Pelosi at this time.
Well, you know what?
Have you talked
I
to
have
him? Is
to
my
do
only
what
question.
I have to do.
Right.
He made the decision for the country. My concern was not about the president, it was about his campaign. As he has seen the exuberance, the excitement that has come forth in our country. I just did an event for one of our members in Illinois, Eric Sorensen, today. Immediately, he got 1,100 volunteers into his campaign as soon as that announcement was made.
Nobody is questioning the fact that the Democratic Party seems much better positioned right now than it did 4 weeks and 2 days ago. There's no question about that. Former Speaker Pelosi...
So why are we even talking about it?
They put it on my script and made me...
Now let's take a look at Joe Biden, part of his speech, where he seemed a bit upset when he mentioned that he was too old to be president. He didn't think he was, because every time over the last couple of months, the last couple of years, really, you ask him about his age, he just said, watch me and all of that. But now the tone in which he mentioned he's too old, it seems like he's still upset about it. Let's take a look.
I've made a lot of mistakes in my career, but I gave my best to you. For 50 years, like many of you, I've given my heart and soul to our nation. And I've been blessed a million times in return for the support of the American people. I've either been too young to be in the Senate because I wasn't 30 yet, and too old to stay as president. But I hope you know how grateful I am to all of you.
There are fractions behind the scene, and the Democrats, they're trying their best to get this thing over with, had Joe Biden show up on the first night, give it a little speech late at night, you speaking after midnight, nobody cares. They're trying their best to move on. They can't wait until next January, until Joe Biden gets the hell out of there. If not sooner, if something happened to him. But that's a different story. Now, let's look at this clip here of CNN even talking about what the Democrats have done to Joe Biden.
Almost exactly 1 month ago, Democrats in the U.S. were despondent as the Republican convention wrapped up. And to many, a second Trump presidency felt inevitable. Well, what a difference just a few weeks makes. Tonight, Democrats begin their convention on a high, with Kamala Harris surging in the polls and a star-studded lineup planning to spend the week discussing why she is the right person to lead America into the future.
I think tonight we're going to see an extraordinary moment of a sitting president who was actually pushed aside by his party, forced to end his re-election bid because of concerns about his age, throwing his full support behind his vice president and the new Democratic nominee, Kamala Harris. It's going to be a poignant moment. We know that the president is going to make the case for a vice president, Kamala Harris presidency. He's going to call out President Donald Trump by name, according to senior officials. And he's going to warn that democracy is at stake in November's election, very much the theme of the campaign that he was forced to shelve. It will be quite an emotional moment, I think, for the president. He will be effectively ending a 50-year career in politics, although he will still be president until January, whatever happens in the election. And having spoken to a lot of Democrats, especially on the sidelines of Harris events, it's clear that he's going to get a wave of adulation. He's seen as a hero now in his party because he sacrificed his own career in the greater cause of trying to beat Trump.
So, like I said, they were gaslighting the audience. They were giving Joe Biden lip service. Oh, you're such a great president. You've done outstanding. We're going to miss you. And Joe Biden, he played the part because he went up there waving and pretending, but deep down he doesn't like what happened to him. But now let's get into this rant. Him just going on these same old talking points about Trump, talking about Charlottesville, January 6th. He called veterans losers. It's just the same old, same old. But let's look at a little bit of it.
I'm so proud of my son's service. We get it. But guess who doesn't get it and doesn't respect our veterans? We know from his own chief of staff, the 4-star General John Kelly, that Trump, when in Europe, would not go to the grave sites in France. The brave service members who gave their lives to this country. He called them suckers and losers. Who in the hell does he think he is? Who does he think he is? There's no words for a person. They are not the words of a person not worthy of being commander-in-chief, period. Not then, not now, and not ever. Donald Trump calls America a failing nation. No, I'm serious. But think about this. Think about this. He publicly says to the whole world, I'm going to say something outrageous. I know more foreign leaders by their first names and know them well than anybody alive. Just because I'm so damn old. But I'm not joking. Think of the message he sends around the world when he talks about America being a failing nation. He says we're losing. He's the loser. He's dead wrong. In front of me was a city surrounded by the National Guard. Behind me, a Capitol that's 2 weeks before had been overrun by a violent mob. But I knew then, from the bottom of my heart, that I knew now, there is no place in America for political violence. None.
Now, at this point, I don't know if we're going to hear from Joe Biden hardly again because he's still officially the president. So we'll have to hear from him for some things. But they're going to basically hide this man to the best that they can until next January because he's been thrown out like an old carcass. Like I said, they're done with him. And what's the result of this coup that the Democrats ran? The Democrat leaders have exposed how weak-minded their voters are. So it started back during C-19 when they had their voters getting these untested vaccines, getting the booster shots, being completely okay with the loss of education, schools closed for years, wearing masks, looking like dumbasses, closing their businesses. The Democrat voters sat there and took it. Talk about tough America. Talking about, New Yorkers are really strong people. No, you're not. The New York Democrats took it just like the rest of the Democrats in the country. So the Democrats saw then just how weak their voters were. And they had the audacity to run a coup. 14 million people voted for Joe Biden. First of all, they rigged the primary. Didn't even hid the people and stopped the people who were running for the Democrat nomination against Joe Biden. The Democrat voters just sat there and took it. So the result of this rigged primary was 14 million Democrats voting for Joe Biden to run for re-election. The Democrat leaders said, damn all of y'all. Threw out 14 million Democrat votes, said we don't give a flying fuck what y'all think. Threw out their votes, installed a candidate, Kamala Harris, who didn't receive one single vote. They installed her. The Democrat voters just took it. They haven't protested at all. They haven't said, why can't we give it an opportunity? Maybe we want to vote for Bernie Sanders or somebody. I don't know who the hell they have on the bench. Pete Buttigieg. But they didn't even resist. So the Democrats made 3 major power moves against their voters. C-19, the rigged primary, and now throwing out the primary and cooing the president, installing a candidate that the big money donors and all of them want. And the Democrat voters just sat there and took it. The result would be more power grabbing. The Democrat leadership knows that their voters are weak-minded. They're a bunch of sheep. They're a bunch of mindless drones that just do whatever the hell the leadership tells them to do. So they're going to continue this. I don't know if the Democrat Party survives. There are a lot of people talking about this is the end of the Democrat Party. Maybe we do need to start calling it the Communist Party of America. But what's going to happen in the next cycle? These voters have been stripped of their right to choose their candidate. First of all, it's already been hard because the Democrats have these super delegates. So if the voters do choose a candidate, the super delegates can often override what the voters want to begin with, kind of like Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton back in, what was that, 2016, I think. But the Democrat voters will just be sheep. They'll follow along with whatever the hell they're told, and they're going to be gaslighted. They're going to be told the Republicans are racist. This is to save our democracy. The Democrats are overthrowing democracy in order to save democracy, and the Democrat voters are completely okay with that, and the Democrats will continue to do that. That's the result. So let me know what you guys think about this. Leave me your thoughts below. Share the video. Thanks for watching.